A large house made of wood, surrounded by trees.
Welcome to Twin Peaks, The Gifted.
And the Damned.
My name's Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at FitandTrim. That's FITTENTRIM, at FitandTrim on Twitter. And with me, as always, is someone who finds the starting position more comfortable.
I do.
It's Mork. Mork, how you doing?
Oh, man, I am so good, Bubba. And you can holler at me at Extraordinary on the Twitter. That's Extraordinary with the W in front of the final R.
Mork, we are here to talk about Twin Peaks Part 13.
You are goddamn right.
What story is that, Charlie? Is the subtitle of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to give your ranking out of 10 for this Part 13? More than two-thirds of the way through. We're just now.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
We got 5 left.
Yeah, 5 left. Just 4 weeks left. Wow.
Oh, they're going to do a double whammy they're going to end on?
Yeah.
I'm going to process that later on. But for tonight's part, and I struggle sometimes to remember to say part, not episode, but for tonight's part, I'm going to give it 8 double M's.
Double M?
8 merengueing Mitchums. It was nice to see them. We kind of left on
It's wonderful to see those guys. Yeah.
After part 11, where they got a big check, Dougie got a big hug, and a little bit of cherry pie.
Oh yeah.
So this is, I don't know if this is the next day because it looks like they've been partying a little bit.
Well,
and car shopping and jungle gym.
We're going to have to talk about time a bit because in part 12 we saw Sonny Jim hit Dougie Coop with a baseball, but that couldn't have taken place on, if this was flowing in any sort of linear time because this episode picks up with after part 11. And so maybe that was the scene from earlier. Maybe time is all messed up. Is it future? Is it past?
I don't know.
So that's a pretty good ranking, though.
What about you, Bubba?
So you feel it really bounced back after last week?
I do, and I mean, this is like one of those things where I know David Lynch wants to do it week by week, and he enjoys that, but I do think that if we could, if we really could binge this a little bit, and we could feel the episodes a lot tighter, then they wouldn't feel so distinct and so isolated from the other ones. And so that definitely hurts it sometimes, like last week, and this week it didn't.
All right, so it's time for my ranking out of 10.
It is time.
And so I'm going to give this 8 triple D's.
Triple D's?
Out of 10.
Does this have anything to do with the lady from Total Recall?
Nothing to do with the woman from Total Recall. What this has to do with is I've had this problem a bit like Anthony Sinclair. And so when people see it on me, I just call it double D. Death-defying dandruff.
Yeah.
Meaning you're about to kill somebody, but your dandruff defies the death.
It sure does.
And so there are parts of this episode that I really, really like. In fact, last week, there was so much that I had problems with and some that I thought was genius, brilliant.
Yeah.
This episode, there were more things to like. I don't know if anything matched those Sarah Palmer scenes from last week's episode for me, but much less to be frustrated with, like part 12 left me. I'm very excited. I also almost went with triple R's.
Triple R's?
Ring ruins Ray.
Aww.
The Alcave ring did ruin Ray for a bit there. Before we get into breaking down this episode, like we do every week here on Twin Peaks The Gifted
and the Damned
podcast, I want to give out a shout-out to a couple people. One is Glenn Weldon. He's a regular panelist on NPR's Pop Culture Happy Hour podcast. He reviews books and movies for NPR. Glenn Weldon is a huge Twin Peaks fan. He says he listens to several Twin Peaks podcasts. We're hoping he listens to us, not because we're the best or anything, but because we tend to be one of the first ones. If he's a big Twin Peaks fan, hopefully he's listening to us. I actually love Glenn's podcast, Pop Culture Happy Hour, even if I can't say it. I also want to give a shout out to my little sister, Liz.
Aww.
As we know, a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't here to record the podcast with you, Mork.
I was here, though.
You were here. I was home in the ATL in Atlanta. Back when we talked about Fire Walk with Me, I mentioned that I went on midnight opening night to see Fire Walk with Me One of the people who came with me is my little sister, Liz. Liz didn't watch the show immediately when it first aired in that April and May sweeps of 1990. She got into it when ABC ran the first season during the summer of 1990, and she was almost as big a fan as I am. What's heartbreaking is my little sister, she couldn't make it past part 5, and I don't even think she finished part 5. This has just been too tough for her. Dare I say it, a bit too much Lynch and too little Twin Peaks
Part
a
5
bit for
of
her.
This season.
Yeah, she tried to give this third season a call because she loved the original, and she just couldn't handle it.
I'm going to rescind the shout-out.
No, hey, man, listen, there were a lot of original TP fans who haven't been able to, kind of adjust to what this new show is giving us. I certainly think that there are episodes like this that I think those original Twin Peaks fans would love. I always go back to episode 7 or part 7, excuse me. I think they would have loved. I think part 11 they would have loved. But, this is just different, and if some people don't like the different, that's their shout-out. So I want to give my shout-out to Liz, who still occasionally listens to the podcast in support.
Then I unrescinded.
My goodness gracious. All right. Hey, we always go through these iTunes reviews that we get, which you guys are kind enough to give us right at the top. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, at the end of this incredible 18-hour journey, meaning in just 4 weeks from tonight, we're going to be giving away all our remaining Twin Peaks prizes here on Twin Peaks The Gifted
and the Damned
podcast. We're going to be giving away a full hardback copy of Mark Frost's The Secret History of Twin Peaks. We've got some Funko toys. To be honest, I just collect so much stuff and thought, I can give this out in the podcast, give this out on the podcast. Sometimes I forget how much we have. We may have just those things I mentioned.
We stole a lot of it, Bubba, so
and we
got to spread around the evidence.
No, we didn't. I paid for it. That's how we got most of it. Thank you for letting me say that, Mork. Let me also say that if somehow you've joined us halfway through this journey and you've wondered about these iTunes reviews, once again, the way you get eligible to win these prizes is you go to iTunes, give us a written review. iTunes written review. Some of you guys may be like, well, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on this. It's just easier for us to track if it's on iTunes. Then you also have to go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/double-P podcasts. That's the word double, the single letter P, the word podcast, plural, facebook.com/double-P podcast. So you give us a written review and like the page, you're eligible to win some of these great prizes. Let's get through some of these new reviews we got. Who do we have, Mork?
Let's start from the USA. This is from Nine Rain, or maybe it's a Raisin. I'm not sure what it is, but it's Rain with a 9 in it. My favorite recap podcast. 4 stars. All right.
Oh, thank you. Hey, we'll
take it.
Yeah, that's very kind of you. Thanks.
We will totally take it. This is the only recap podcast I've been able to stay with through the Season 3 transition. I often disagree with the host on many of their interpretations and opinions, and yet still find them to be enjoyable.
Oh, thanks.
Mork and Bubba are affable and funny, able to transition through disagreements and sometimes unsavory opinions in a respectful manner. One thing that has turned me off of other casts is that the host's personal opinions seem to impact the quality of questioning and analysis they present. But Gifted and the
Damned
continue to dissect each scene even when they personally don't like it or understand it. I appreciate this because I feel many casts are cutting out material because of their disappointment with the new series, but Bubba and Mork at least speak on what they don't like, which I feel is better than ignoring or rejecting material outright like many TP recappers are doing nowadays. Keep it up, guys. We will. Thanks, Rain.
Thank you so much. Our next one here in the United States iTunes Store is from Hard Tales. A double T for the double L's.
Double L's?
5 stars. That's correct. So, Hardtails writes, by which I mean, of course, a true treat for all Lynch-loving, loyal listeners.
Oh,
Bubba and Mork are so much fun to listen to, I went back and started at the beginning.
Oh, my God.
The Black Lodge, White Lodge minutes from the first 2 seasons are phenomenal, as are the special guests. I even love it when Double B, Bossy Bubba, snipes at Double M.
Double M?
Meandering Mork.
Well, I don't know what he could mean by that, because one time I went to the grocery store.
Stop. All right, so thank you so much, Hardtails. That is very kind of you to say.
That's real cool.
Let me tell you, there's going to be more Double B from this, Bubba. I can just imagine it.
Get more B, Bubba. Okay, this is from Dr. Johnny K. Twin Peaks, The Gifted, and the
Damned.
5 stars. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I never watched Twin Peaks when it was originally on TV.
Yeah.
I stumbled upon the original series on Showtime in May of this year and
Cool.
thought, what the heck? Let's see what all the excitement was about. I loved it. I was
Great.
addicted immediately. I tried to savor each and every episode, but found myself binging and finishing all the episodes far too soon.
Aw.
I was thrilled to find that Twin Peaks was returning pretty much upon completion of my viewing of the original series. I dove right in. Sadly, I don't know anyone watching it and consequently have no one to discuss it with.
Oh, no.
Well, you do now, buddy.
Yeah, you do.
I was thrilled to find this podcast, and I feel as though I have someone watching the show with me. You provide explanations when I'm a little confused, as well as another perspective to mine. Thanks for the company. Anytime. And Dr. Johnny K, come over to Facebook, man. We got a whole little cool chat going on.
Oh, yeah. So many great double L's in Facebook, really knocking it out of the park. Let's go to the great country of Denmark.
Nothing is rotten in Denmark.
From Minnie Macon. This is a 5-star review entitled, This is, excuse me, a damn fine podcast. Minnie Macon writes, I found this podcast just a week ago, and I've been listening to it all week. This is by far the best out there about Twin Peaks, or anything really. Yeah, we do ramble on to other subjects. Thank you so much, Minnie Macon. I love your guest stars, the casual atmosphere. I love the joking doesn't get out of hand or get hysterical. No, I'm kidding. He wrote, and get hysterical. Keep up this fantastic job, guys. Love Macon from Denmark. Thank you so much, Macon.
That's very cool. All right, let's go.
I haven't been to Denmark. Is it Tivoli Gardens? What are the famous kind of gardens and amusement park there in Copenhagen? I need to visit there.
Yep. Yes, you do. Okay, this is from the land of Philip Jeffries, a must-watch. 5 stars by L. Evans.
From Argentina.
Argentina. These guys are not only funny and original, they make a really interesting take on the show. The theories are great, and even when they are different to mine, I enjoy their perspective.
Thank you.
Greetings from Argentina. Yay! Awesome.
Thank you so much. For people who, this was Elle here told me to look for her review in Argentina. So iTunes is kind of funny. This podcast has been downloaded in over 80 countries.
Wow.
How many? Over 80? I don't really know. The people who host it say, like they'll say 50 more from, quote, other regions.
Right.
But still, we have to go to each country to see if there's an iTunes review or not. And
Uzbekistan? Have you been to Uzbekistan?
I can't remember. It gets tough. And so I have to admit, every week I don't go and check every single country that downloads us. But Elle, she's also on Twitter. I believe she goes by Letitia on Twitter. I hope I'm not messing that up. But she said, hey, I gave you a review in the Argentina store. Thank you so much. You're eligible to win. But if you're in a country that, how do I say it, isn't the United States, always give me a shout out on the Facebook page, facebook.com/double-P podcast, or on Twitter to just let me know you gave us a review. That's the easiest way I can find it.
Yeah, because we can't always see all the other stores, all the other iTunes stores.
Yeah, it just gets tricky sometimes. We apologize, but thank you so much. And we do send prizes overseas. We love sending prizes to any of our double L's. Mork, you want to start this episode in a town we usually save to the end. Everybody's favorite little town, 51,000. Is it 201? Boy, because we don't see the sign so much, I feel terrible. Here I'm a
241?
Boy, okay. Here we're super fans, and I'm messing up the population a bit.
Yeah. But
we're going to start in Twin Peaks. So why did you want to start in Twin Peaks?
Well, I was thinking we would for just the reason that I thought that Vegas and western Montana seem to fit well together.
Okay,
and things are kind of coming to a head on that line. So I thought that'd be fun if we could kind of, and that's where two of our main guys are, Mr. C and Dougie Cooperstown Jones. So
certainly. Well, I believe we start Twin Peaks in the Double R Diner, and we spend a lot of time in the Double R. And we start it with what I assume might be a heartwarming scene between Shelley and having a phone call with her daughter, Becky. Becky, this is crazy. All these things her husband, Stephen, has put her through. She's still crying and sad that he has been missing or gone, I guess the best way to describe it, for 2 days.
Basically, one day for every 2.5 bullets she pumped through that apartment door.
Yeah, Gersten Hayward's door there. But just the mention of the pie seems to cheer her up. And it is sad to see so many of our Twin Peaks favorite characters from the old series doing rough. So just the fact that Shelley can find a way to cheer up her daughter Becky, it just seems like a little beat in the show, a little beat in their relationship. But I really did appreciate that. I did like that moment.
No, I thought it was nice to see them kind of connecting to each other. The last time we saw them together was after she had this huge fight, and then they're sitting there with Bobby at the Double R, and then she sort of stepped outside to
see
say
Ray.
hello to Red.
Ugh, Red, the worst.
So that was nice to see them connecting, and there was a whole lot of and we don't need to get into it right now, but cherry pie factored into every location pretty much. Well, 2 of them, but there was a lot of
to 66% of the locations. That's
pretty
right.
good. Yeah, that's pretty good. And so there was a lot of discussion. So I don't know. Do you think it has a greater thing, or they were just playing with that?
I think it's one of the themes of the show. I think back when the return started up, a lot of people missed those comforting things: the donuts, the coffee, the cherry pie. And so I think it's nice that we're getting back to it. This is going to sound silly, for people who were missing the cherry pie. But in this scene, because people just seem to be hitting that one type of pie, I started thinking to myself, the original series, even though we did focus on cherry pie so much, we would vary it up a bit. Like there was a huckleberry pie, I remember, that Norma offered to Cooper. Mm-hmm. So cherry pie seems to be the number one seller. Let's just push that. Later on, Becky and Shelley have theoretically exited and ended their shift. And who comes in? Bobby. You're going to assume, maybe I'm going to assume, that Bobby and Shelley are separated, yet Bobby is the kind of guy who keeps going to the Double R hoping to see his ex-wife, is the vibe I got from him coming in. And he's saying, give me the usual. Right. That's the way I took it. And once again, where we had Becky and Shelley reconnecting and being happy, for whatever reason, just seeing Bobby come in like that, all alone, sitting at the diner alone, it got a real melancholy feel for me. I enjoyed it.
Was he melancholy or just getting ready in case a bullet got shot through the window?
Right, so he sat on the far side of the diner. He's like, let's get away from the windows in case more gunshots ring out.
It's nice to see that that shooting did not slow down any of their business at all, though. So that's good.
Oh, it is good. One of the...
Do you think the other 5 Norma Double R locations have also had shootings? Are they going to put that? Is Walter?
No, that's why the sales are higher there. The sales seem to be higher at these other diners, which don't have gunshots ringing in through the window.
Where children are not randomly shooting through the windows.
If it's okay, let's just follow Bobby a bit before we get to the other side of this table. Bobby comes up. Norma and Big Ed are sitting at a booth together, Norma's work booth, and it is great to see Norma and Big Ed together, but it's also a bit fun almost to see Big Ed acting warmly, friendly towards
someone who cold-cocked
somebody who cold-cocked him 27 years ago. So is there anybody in your life, Mork, who punched you? You were in wrestling in high school. Or anybody 27 years ago, maybe that puts you in middle school, maybe that puts you, anybody who punched you back then who you're still friends with?
I'm pretty lucky in that I didn't get punched. The only people who really punched me are related to me.
Yeah.
So, you sort of have to that's okay. I would say that anyone who... Yeah, I would think absolutely very warm about people who I kind of got into it with, maybe in high school or junior high. If I saw them today, I'd be happy to see them for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. And it warmed my soul. I just mentioned that it felt melancholy a bit. This brief moment where Norma, Big Ed, and Bobby are acting so friendly and so almost familiar with each other, I really liked it. Now, the scene's going to take a turn in a bit, but before we get to that bit about what now will put Big Ed in a melancholy mood, I want to say that the timing on this show, we just mentioned about how, wait a minute, this scene with Sonny, Jim, and Coop couldn't have come chronologically between episode 11 and episode 13.
Right.
Here in this Bobby scene, he mentions, hey, we found something of my dad's today.
Yeah.
Which places it back in the part about the new chair. Or excuse me, the part with the subtitle, This is the Chair. And so, I wasn't sure.
And that was, and just refresh me, that was part 10 or part 11?
Well, here, hold on. Let's find out exactly, because I hate it when you get stuff, when I get stuff wrong. I think there's a chance that was part 9. And so... Let's
confirm this.
Yeah, it was part 9.
Okay.
So here we are.
A month later.
A month later, 4 hours later. And apparently it's the same day, but this doesn't... So in other words, we saw the scene with the chair.
Right.
Then we saw the scene with the gun shooting, the gun ringing in the diner. So that would have happened a different day too. Yeah, this is the little man from another place's classic line. Is it the future? Is this the past?
Right.
We don't know if we should be taking this literally, like time is all messed up, or if it's just, they didn't write this to be episodes. We keep accidentally saying episodes, but they just wrote just a big long movie. And then Lynch, one of the reasons why it took so long to get here is he kept trying to wrangle it, for lack of a better word, into things he would call parts, most people would call episodes. And so is the time screw up just because he was trying to find the right mood in which scenes flowed together? So it's very difficult, I would say, to comprehend, other than you have to understand, okay, this scene happened the same night as part 9.
Yeah, we don't have. I mean, there's so many different characters going in so many different directions that there's not as many sort of milestones to help us reorient, and that's what I was talking about earlier, where some parts are going to feel pretty weak because there's so much looseness in them,
right?
And then we get something like tonight where it's like, oh, there's a lot of everything kind of congeals.
Yeah, there's a method to this madness.
Yeah.
So let's say goodbye, or have Bobby just tag along to this reintroduction to Big Ed and to Norma. As we do this, I kind of want to bring up a point that our good buddy Joel Bacco did back when we were reviewing the original series. Joel was doing these kind of great charts and stuff. Follow him on Twitter, where he was talking about characters who had stories, a.k.a. if you watch the first season, those 8 episodes back in 1990, he was pointing out characters like Pete Martell didn't really have a story. He was just there kind of as a facilitator between other people's story.
Right.
And what he really meant by story, he's meant active wants, meaning Catherine and Josie both had active wants about how to get the mill. Right, yeah, that's not really a story. Guy wants to catch a fish, and then ends up in the percolator. So Pete was just kind of there. What's interesting, when Joel did this, Leland Palmer really didn't have much of a quote-unquote story in the first season of Twin Peaks. It was like a guy grieves for his dead daughter. It was like a state of being.
What's wrong with him? That's all he's doing.
No, but you know what I mean. He didn't have an active want or a goal he was trying to achieve as far as the story went. So many of these Twin Peaks superstars, characters that we knew from the original series, it hasn't felt like they've really had what Joel would call stories. Norma, up until part 13...
didn't have any lines.
She had some lines, but yeah, she was very minimal.
Right.
Because we don't know an active want. We don't know her story. And it's more like kind of windows into their world, not like they have a goal they're progressing towards. Even, go back to the original series, Nadine had an active goal in the first series. She was, I want to make silent drape runners and I want to sell them. Now Nadine doesn't even really have a story so much as here's a picture of a woman who has her own business and likes listening to Dr. Amp.
Right. Yeah, no, the people who do seem to have... Yeah, you did say the original characters, because I was thinking that some of the newer characters are pushing things a little bit in the town, but that wasn't what you're talking about.
Right. So Big Ed we're finally introduced to him in part 13, and he doesn't really have a story. He still has, I guess you would say, it's like a snapshot of this is where Big Ed is after 25 years.
Right.
He's very friendly with Norma. Obviously, from the minimal amount we see, still pines for her, still interested in her.
And the whole time where Walter is sitting there going over his Ross Perot-like charts, Big Ed is...
That's a deep cut there. You got a deep fountain of ancient trivia there, Mork.
I'm in a season 1 season 2 mindset, but Big Ed is over his shoulder the whole time, just sort of supervising a little bit. So
that's one way to call stalking / longing for someone. Norma, are you happy? Norma in the original series, I always thought she got stuck with this lemon husband of Hank. She always wanted Big Ed, but Big Ed came with his own problems, meaning he was already married.
Well, and multiple sorts of problems between the show and the book in terms of...
You mean the secret history of Twin Peaks?
The secret history, yeah. Yeah, they didn't really line up how Big Ed ended up with, how and when he ended up with Nadine, but he did.
Right, but I guess where I was going is because Nadine had these men troubles, I, of course, wanted her to be with Big Ed. It's sad when...
Norma.
Norma. I wanted Norma to be with Big Ed, but when Walter comes in and she has this sweet little kiss with him and he seems like the wrong guy for her in some ways. Mm-hmm. But really, when I saw this actor, Grant Goodeve, playing Walter, I thought, thank God Norma's found somebody. Thank God she seems happy.
So, and it does bring to a question to mind, because we've seen Nadine a few times, but we haven't really seen Nadine and Big Ed together. So, did they split up? Are they together? Do we know? I mean,
to be honest, I think for Nadine's sake, I hope they're not together, and for everybody's sake, I hope they're not together. But Nadine was the one who was being cheated on, so she shouldn't have to put up with Big Ed anymore. I hope they're not together.
All right. Well, Norma,
do you like Walter? Of course, we're just getting introduced to him. Why don't you like him?
I could not. He's pretty bland, and I guess I just don't like the fact that we had about 45 seconds ago, we have Bobby, who we've sort of come to enjoy and respect. We've had Big Ed, who we've always loved. We have Norma, who hasn't done a whole lot this year. And then some stranger sits down and starts talking about franchising and bad results and profitability and net margin and all that good stuff. I would have just rather we had those three just sitting at a booth talking.
All right. Once again, you said what you would rather have.
Yeah.
Leaving out your wants and desires, did you like the scene? Did you like the character? Or could you not like the character because it was against what you wanted?
Well, it's not that it was against what I wanted, but I don't know why I am invested in. I mean, Norma's had a successful business for a little while. When we first met her, Hank was the only real problem in her life.
Well, the fact she was interested in a married man, that's a second problem.
Right. Okay.
Come on.
She had romantic troubles, but she had business success and she had some friends. Then much later, she's got marginally more business success. So it's just a lot of stuff that I'm not that interested in. So
okay, no, you're not interested in it. I'm not sure I'm hugely interested in it. I don't think anybody could say they're hugely invested in it unless they love Norma from the past.
Were you interested in Walter at all?
Yeah, I kind of was. Once again, here she's happy. I've always liked Norma. Here she's happy. I actually think, the business.
Seem that happy.
She had issues with him, that's right. But there were other scenes, especially the scene where they showed Big Ed watching, where she's smiling, she's laughing, she kissed the guy. This is not Hank Jennings again at all.
No, it wasn't Hank Jennings, but she seems to really care about locally, sustainably sourced produce, and this guy.
Well, this is her name. She cares about that. But what's interesting is, she doesn't care about her name because she doesn't need the double R here in Twin Peaks to be renamed. I'm happy for her. I say what you will. Okay, the sales here at the original double R are the worst, but he didn't say like, "Oh, they're in the gutter. They're doing terribly." If I were her, or I guess as a fan of Norma from the original, I was very happy to see number one her be with a guy who isn't married. We assume, dear
as
Lord.
Far as we know.
Yeah, Walter. Walter, where you been all this time? Oh, I was seeing my other wife. What, Walter?
Well, we don't.
So
know.
I enjoyed it. I'm not sure, once again, I was that engaged because, like you keep saying, here we are 13 hours in, we're still learning things, still meeting people. But because of my past love for Norma and the fact that, in my opinion, she came across as happy, I was happy for her, and I enjoyed that scene. Listeners, let us know what you think. Which side are you on in the Bubba and Mork divide, or do you have a different take your own? We always say we love dissenting opinions. There's no right or wrong. There's just Twin Peaks and, of course, Western Montana. So speaking of Big Ed's wife/former wife, we don't really know, do you want to hop over across the street here in North Bend, a.k.a. Twin Peaks, to Run Silent, Run Drapes, where Nadine she has a goal. She's focused on that goal.
She's very focused.
Once again, I wouldn't call it a story so much as here's a slice of life. Here's a successful, we're going to assume.
Got her smoothie.
Right. Here's a businesswoman who is running a business. Good for her. She's very proud of her product. And in her life, the thing that gives her entertainment is Dr. Jacoby's show, Dr. Amp. Dr. Amp drives by. I love that it stops him. Wait a minute. Those are one of my gold shovels. He comes over, and I love the fact, Nadine has been, correct me if I'm wrong, she's been all by herself every time we've seen her, right? She hasn't had any scenes with anybody else. No, Once again, it's not like she has a story. And so this is just a slice of life moment. with her reconnecting with Dr. Jacoby, him connecting with her.
Right. This was a little funny because it was like they hadn't seen each other in
7 years.
7 years.
Right.
And, I mean, the shovel is, I assume, what brought them together just now. But Twin Peaks doesn't feel like it's the kind of town where...
You could not see somebody for 7 years?
Yeah, I mean, he's been out in the woods a little bit, but, she was... They were... I mean, he tried helping her a while back.
He was her doctor in the original series. So.
Right. So it seems like... It feels like they wouldn't have fallen out of touch like that. But whatever. They're hanging out. And she's showing him the drapes, which we know. I don't know why her drapes, which she invented before Dr. M started broadcasting, why it's a tribute to him, but it is.
Oh, people, listen to me. If you went to some of these great places like Denmark and Argentina, you're going to see, storefronts dedicated to your wisdom, Mork. You're going to go down there.
That could be.
And you're going to see somebody's store. I'm going to try to think of what you say. Oh, this is what it would be. Is you're going to walk into this beautiful store in Argentina.
Yes.
And over the PA system, you're going to have this kind of meandering ramble. Never getting to the point kind of audio, which will be a salute to you.
Well, I have no problem with that. Would it be in English or in Spanish?
I hope for everyone out there it's in English.
Okay. Well, then there you go.
Did you get a touch of romance, of love connection between Dr. Jacoby and Nadine? Call me crazy. Maybe it was something I saw in her eye. Something from his glasses. But the warmth there, once again, I guess I'm getting a bit whiplash. I'm seeing a lot of characters in melancholy. But the characters that I was attached to in the previous series, when I'm seeing some warmth and happiness for them, I get happy. I enjoy it. So that's fun for me to see. And it engages me on that level where, obviously, as a story beat, it isn't really a story beat. It's just like, oh, here are two people saying hello. That part can't engage with me, but because I do have such an emotional connection to these characters from all these years of watching them and thinking about them and celebrating them, I can enjoy the scene that way.
The whole thing about the potato, has anyone ever asked you about the most interesting time you ever bought a potato? Is it, I mean, as pickup lines go, have you ever used that?
When I see somebody, it's a natural thing for me to say, oh, I haven't seen you since, where were we again? Oh, that's where I saw you. Now, no one that I've seen and had this conversation with has been so kind of mundane as picking up a potato off the floor, but I think that's a natural conversation. Why you may not enjoy it, but I'm trying to ask where you're going with this. You just didn't like it. You found it unbelievable. Why are you bringing up the potato?
I bring up the potato.
Yes, because?
He's going to pull over, have this conversation. It feels like this is, you're talking about maybe this is going somewhere in the future where this is, they're talking, they're just stuck in the past. And so it's one of those conversations where I'm seeing these people for the first time. Why am I seeing for the first time together now? Because of the shovel, which he's selling to shovel out the shit. Okay, that's fine. I understand that, but it doesn't. It's not anything. Nothing about that is actually is interesting to me in everything else that's going on. So we're taking time away. I mean, the next scene in Twin Peaks is Sarah at home,
right?
Who, especially after last week, I mean, I can watch her, and she's watching this weird loop of a boxing match,
right?
Do nothing, and there's nothing. This scene was not. There was no spooky fan. There was no.
But it's tense. I felt tensed. Did you feel tense?
Yeah, like anytime you watch her, you're like, this woman is basically. She's connected to the past. It feels like her tragedy is a big part of, Laura is, when we saw the giant in episode 8, I mean, Laura is still around. Mike is telling Coop in the lodge that, Laura is important. So she's part of the proceedings. I don't know how, but she matters. And so I'd rather watch her, watching this. What was this? It was a looped boxing match.
A looped boxing match, I believe, of the second round of this fight. I kept wondering, is this Battle and Bud Mullins from his young fights?
This looks like a long time ago, though.
Certainly. Well, Battling Bud, the gentleman is I believe, in real life in his 80s, so it would be,
All right.
60 years ago, possibly. To be honest, I don't think there's any clue for that. Once again, that's some of the stuff I talked about last week about perhaps I'm bringing things to the show that the show isn't presenting, and I'm trying to get my own hooks into it. But that was my first thought when I saw this boxing before I realized it was looping. And Sarah exiting the living room to occasionally go get some more vodka, I believe it is.
Yeah.
That kind of loops itself as well. Mm-hmm. So you can enjoy this. This scene, we talk about, we're tough on Langwood Lynch and his painfully slow pace at times, but you're saying this scene for you is emotionally invested with something that puts you on edge, and so you are able to watch it for however long it goes? Because I am too.
Right, because there's that tension of, because Bob has been in her home, and so we don't know exactly what we're going to see and when we're going to see it. And I mean, this is, we're catching up with people, and this is not the first time we've seen Sarah this season, but this is her life now. When she's not, when she's drunk, this is probably what it is. And when she's not, she's thinking of the past, or, the past comes back to her.
Her TV, is there any thematic picture you can paint from the first time we see her? I believe in part 2, she's watching wild animals attack each other. Here we see her again in part 13 watching TV.
She likes action.
Two human beings attacking each other. She's drawn to the violence. Is she numb to it because she's always drinking and smoking? Any thoughts you could give on that, or is it just really about Sarah, and she could be watching a cooking show and you would still be tense with her?
I think she's so numbed out where she doesn't seem to be searching. Whatever she's searching for isn't on the TV in my mind.
All right, and so let's get to a couple that really have emotional troubles, different types of troubles than Sarah has. But good old Charlie and Audrey.
Well,
and this scene,
what do you think?
were tough on this scene last week, Mork. You were really tough on this couple when they appeared.
100%.
How did you feel when they showed up in this episode?
Well, I think Audrey watched last week because she was saying that she feels like she was someone else. And she...
Oh, boy. Does that make you go ding, ding, ding?
Right.
Does that make you go... Hello.
No, it totally
does.
But the thing is, there's so many things that are, there's so many lines of dialogue that could be on the nose, but they could be on the nose for much different things.
Give me an example, if you don't mind.
Well, let me see if I got to pull out my little pad here. Okay. So in terms of Charlie's talking about it's the end of your story. So she feels like someone else. So it could fit together, and maybe this is going to become a very get ready, bossy Bubba.
Okay.
Because
I'll go take a break. You meander. Let's hear it.
So no, but okay. So she feels like someone else. So she is Audrey A. Is she a doppelganger then, or what have you? So then in my mind, it sort of brings up a little bit about the math of, well, is Richard Audrey's son or Audrey's doppelganger's son? There's that part of it, and then Charlie's telling her we're almost at the end of your story, right?
Okay.
So then it's like, okay, so this brings up, and we talked about there's a theory that she's in a coma or she's in a different place or all of this stuff. So the doppelganger thing, and then the coma thing are kind of butting up against each other. And it feels like they're commenting on both. Or we're just searching so hard into, like, what the heck is going on here. Because she does feel like someone else. So this, maybe they were supposed to put this in last week's episode. I don't know. I mean, it would have really helped things. But they're talking about so many different things in terms of what is she, where is she, who is she, that I'm definitely curious, and I'm much more glad to have seen her, because of it. But I don't know.
So let me just break it down for me, if you don't mind, to kind of just yes or no answer. Last week, you kind of were tough, almost hated the scene.
Yeah, 100%.
Give me your reaction to seeing these two this week. Love, hate, give me an adjective.
I understand their dynamic more. So I don't love it, but I appreciate it, and I'm interested in it. Last week,
listeners, I asked for an adjective. Mork starts off down one tangent. I'm giving them this look like, okay, so my adjective.
Well, you said love or hate, which are verbs.
Right. So you could fair enough. Give me anything. Give me a verb.
I appreciate their dynamic.
Thank you.
They fit together. The previous week, she's like, "Hey, you, my husband, need to take me to go hang out with my boyfriend at this place, and there's these 12 other people." So This was two people talking to each other about things that I did not necessarily understand.
Right.
But they were actually communicating with each other. So, and there was something there. It was actually nice to see Charlie. He didn't really have the upper hand, but he was not just taking it. I mean, he was just, he was a punching bag last week. So there was a little bit more back and forth. But what do you think? You seem like you wanna say something. What do you think was going on here, and what do you think it's alluding to?
Well, I'm going to get to that in 1 second, if that's okay. I just want to say that, like you, last week's scene was painful for me. We're throwing out all these names. You can't make heads or tail of them. This week, I'm not sure you can make heads or tail of their discussion so much, but because I'm not being thrown those names, and because, like you said, it's not a one-note Audrey and a one-note Charlie, where Audrey just felt like, frustrated for that scene. I've heard people say it went 10 minutes, 10 minutes of just somebody being frustrated,
right,
and then 10 minutes of somebody frustrating that person. That was frustrating for me as a viewer to watch.
Yeah, especially considering who it is.
So this week, the fact that Audrey is frustrated at times, but also vulnerable at times. The way that Charlie, I still kind of think is not the best, but the fact that Charlie isn't always purposely frustrating her, I could enjoy it more. Now, the scene begins. Audrey still wants to know, theoretically, what happened in that infamous phone call with Tina.
Right.
And we may never know. I'll say that if this quote-unquote story progresses somewhere, I'll be fine with it, never knowing whatever Tina said. Let's be honest, I don't know who Billy is, and I'm not sure I care who Billy is. I care that Audrey cares. So I enjoyed it an awful lot. Because of these time discrepancies, my ears did, kind of tingle. Wait a minute, what is this? When the infamous storyline came up. That did make me say, wait a minute, all these theories that, quite honestly, I think people were just trying to attach to last week's scene because they hated last week's scene so much. I did suddenly say, oh, maybe there is something to this. I'm not sure there is much. I'm not sure that we can really, the story's given us enough to really say that there's more there. But the fact that there are these little hooks, these little hints, I am enjoying this scene more. If you want me to prognosticate, where this is going forward, boy, I do not know. I don't think, to be honest, Audrey...
Give me a pronoun.
Okay. He will never take her to the Roadhouse.
Do you think there's anything in terms of the decor, the lampshade? It looks like there's an old-time radio. I mean,
yeah, the head on the wall, the stuffed animal mounted on the wall. Stuffed animal, you know what I mean. The head mounted on the wall, once again, really places me in Twin Peaks. That picture there of the trees that Audrey was standing in front of for a bit, I really did like a lot. Is there enough here? Once again, the only reason why I think this scene works is because of relationships that were built up in the original series. If these had been two new characters, now, obviously they couldn't be them, but imagine this scene was being acted out between Hutch and Chantal. I'm not sure I would enjoy it. I'd be like, okay, whatever.
Is there any chance that just like the Double R has franchised, that maybe Diamond Jacks has also franchised? And
One-Eyed Jacks.
One-Eyed Jacks, thank you. Has also franchised, and this is their 1950s style.
Right.
Vacation.
Right. Remember how Emery Battis liked being tied up and his toenails done for his kink? What if?
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of velvet, and that's all we need to know. No, look, I
Audrey's line, sorry to cut you off there, Mork. Audrey's line about it's like Ghostwood.
Exactly, yeah.
That is a powerful line because, once again, of the work the original series did. Mm-hmm. And so that made me able to enjoy this scene more. I want to see more of Audrey, not because of what we've seen in The Return, but because of my love for her from the original series. I'm willing at times for anybody who says that's kind of a fault of The Return is there's probably no new character in The Return who I have as much of an emotional connection with after 13 hours that I originally had by this point with Audrey after 13 hours of the original after Cooper. But because I do have that connection, scenes like the Sarah Palmer scene, scenes like this Audrey Horne scene, heck, scenes like Big Ed longing, the end scene, heck, the next scene we're going to get to at the infamous Roadhouse with James singing our theme song.
Good kid, James.
Good kid, James. They can pull for me. They provide me with that. Holy smokes, that's really, I have an emotional connection with them. Mm-hmm. I always talk about that, yes, I'm somebody who loves narrative, who loves plot, who loves story. But in these moments where it's an emotional connection, it's suddenly like, all right, I can feel this. I can get this. And seeing James, who we haven't seen since part one, up on the stage singing his song, I loved it. We got this great tweet out from Seth, who's at Seth M. Nukin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, on Twitter, who tweeted out, I kept waiting for Mike, the one-armed man, to come on cue and sing, with a large house surrounded by trees.
That would be
during
awesome.
the Just You and I love it. And he also tweeted out, good kid, that James. Love it, love it, love it.
Hell yeah. He sounds pretty good after all
James,
these years.
I think this is the exact same recording, don't you? And Mork, I got to let the listeners know that while we were watching this, I just kept thinking, remake this. Let's do a new version of this. It's okay if it's the same song, but I want to see James Marshall do this again. Now, James Marshall has his own kind of zombie version of Donna and Maddie. Who were those people? Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, I don't know. It was cool to see him. It was I'm glad he got his guitar back from last week, and it was nice to see him. But I will say, so normally when we're at the double R, the credits start rolling, and we sort of fade out and try to figure out what we just saw.
They gave James the whole song.
They gave him the 9 Inch Nails treatment.
Yeah, no credits for James.
No credits for James. But then we're actually watching Big Ed, and speaking of, I was talking about Sarah Palmer, I'm going to stick with her. I mean, what Big Ed is doing is, trying to get a last sip of soup. Probably not much more exciting than, Billy sweeping or our French friend getting up to leave. But I'll watch him. I mean, I know, at least I think I know what he's doing. He's waiting for Norma. And
you think that's what he's doing? I took it as somebody who, after seeing the love of his life, has moved on. I saw it as a melancholy moment of some guy in his later years left all alone.
Well, I think
that's the way I
both
took
can
it.
Be. I think.
Oh, when you say waiting for Norma, you mean like it's kind of in general, or specifically you think she's going to show up here to the...
Oh, not that night, but just sort of sitting there and hoping, and yeah.
All right, sorry.
And because he knows about... I mean, Walter is, I assume, not a stranger. When he shows up, Big Ed excuses himself, so...
Walter didn't remember Big Ed's name. Ouch for Big Ed. Ooh.
That's rough. Well, he didn't watch the original series, so...
that's why you hate Walter so much.
That's exactly right. But I could totally watch... Big Ed having some soup and drinking some coffee. And
oh boy, I could not. I could not. I liked it as a episode ending moment.
Did you think the Woodsmen were going to come out?
No, I did not think that at all. But if, say, this had been in the middle of the episode and we watched him eat all of this soup, I might have gone into sweeping scene mode of.
All right. Well, the credits, maybe the credits helped, but I was glad to see Big Ed.
Let me say that. I guess I keep talking about this whiplash. It's not really whiplash, but some characters in Twin Peaks, I say, have signs of better hope. For example, Nadine and Dr. Jacoby, even if it wasn't romantic, the fact that they had this warm connection with each other, that made me feel good. If you go back to the end of part 2, which James made eyes at this character called Renee at the end of part 2, and Renee was talking to Shelley, and I believe it was Shelley who said, James has always been cool. The fact that Renee was watching James perform his classic tune and smiling and seeming to be charmed by it, I want happiness for James, too. So that was another kind of moment that allowed me to enjoy that scene. Once again, it's the warmth I have for James is based on the original series. If Duncan Todd got up there and sang the song,
Right.
it was, and Renee was, warmly received it, I'm not sure I'd care. He did, she did. And so that's just another moment I liked. It is connecting with me on the feels. How about that? I'm getting all the feels from seeing some of our characters have some warmth, have some happy moments.
Before we move on, I have one last question about Sarah watching TV. Just going back to last week when Hawk came over and
there was a noise in the kitchen.
There was a
noise.
noise.
What she said.
So, we heard something too.
We heard the noise. Sorry, she
Right.
said it was in the kitchen. I was just trying to.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, this is the next time we see her after that. Are we to think she was just watching TV then, or was there something really going on? I mean, they're not really. We don't need to focus on too much. But I was just thinking about it. Maybe is Hawk still outside listening? We don't know.
Melancholy. Hawk has his own soup, and he's out there having melancholy. Mork, I have to be honest, those thoughts didn't come to me. And perhaps because of these timeline questions that we've already talked about,
right?
Maybe that's why I didn't even think to, maybe this is the same day Hawk visited her. But you could be. That's a good point. Where do you want to go next? You want to go to Vegas, baby, Vegas? Or do you want to go to Western Montana?
How about Western Montana? How do you feel about that?
I'm going to send you back to Missoula, Montana.
Done.
Or at least Western Montana, wherever that is.
Or Eastern and or Western Montana State. So
Mr. C, at this point, Mork, you always loved Mr. C.
Absolutely.
You claimed he was your favorite new character.
He is.
We haven't seen him for a while. You're saying he still is?
Oh, yeah.
Did you enjoy Mr. C starring in Over the Top?
I definitely did. This did start off as probably the worst Bond villain moment. Okay, we're going to do something, but first we're going to have that whole setup was a bit silly. But I like the place. We were sort of talking about this. I like he there's this secret warehouse or something that has these gigantic.
Yeah, you're pumping the security camera into your giant wall size monitor. Love it, love it, love it. And Ray, who we were told last time we saw him, he was talking about going to the farm. Theoretically, that's where Hutch and Chantel were. And so Ray has now gone to Western Montana, and he's hanging out with his crew.
Mm-hmm. He's hanging out, and they seem to really have a dislike for him as well. And so I don't need to know where and why all that animosity started, but I do like the fact that Mr. C is just everyone kind of hates him, but no one can really stop him. So I dig that.
Mr. C, he comes in. I haven't totally voiced my displeasure with Mr. C. I kind of bit my tongue a bit when you earlier in these parts were saying you love Mr. C, love Mr. C. There were times I liked Mr. C and times when I thought Mr. C wasn't working for me.
Right.
As terrible as I honestly believe this setup is of we're going to kill you. But first let's play with you. Yeah, first we arm wrestle. I thought this was the corniest, worst exposition. I'm not sure there's any way you can have clean exposition of, hey, I'm going to arm wrestle you. But once the wrestling match started, Mr. C as a threat, I thought was suddenly much more effective. Actually, in the arm wrestling, I thought that Kyle MacLachlan requested to play Mr. C with these black contact lenses because he wanted to appear like a shark, and that was coming across to me. And I just thought it was very interesting. I also thought about how now Dougie Coop, he has superhuman reflexes. He has all this stuff. He has super strength too. Remember when he ripped Ike the Spike's bit of his grip, his hand off on the gun? And so even though there was no way I could see Mr. C losing, the scene did have a strength and pull for me after we got past the awkward setup.
Yeah, it was definitely an awkward setup, but at the same time. Once they were going, it was like, okay, this is okay. I mean, I enjoy this stuff from him all the time. You don't seem to enjoy him as much as I do. The one thing, do you think he needs to tell the Woods people where he's going in advance? Do they always know where he is? Because he's walking into this thing. He just got, last time we saw this guy, he got shot and really only survived because of some otherworldly intervention.
Oh, without question.
And then he gets into this metal box of an elevator, and he knows what he's walking into, and he's totally he's totally comfortable with it. Which
well, I'm going to go off on a different tangent, if that's okay, Mork, and that is that fear, we were told, opened the doorway to the Black Lodge. This is original series thinking. The one thing that Mr. C does not have is fear.
Right.
So even though he was able to escape the Black Lodge, and this is obviously interpretations, but Mr. C was able to escape the Black Lodge because someone entered it via fear, I guess, or, let's not even go too deep into figuring out how he did it.
Right.
But Mr. C has no fear. He has such command. This is why, back at the beginning of Part 8, I was so psyched that somebody got the drop on Mr. C. Mr. C always seemed so in control. When Ray did get the drop on him, I loved it.
Yeah.
I think the question, to pivot back to the question you were asking me, and sorry I went off on that mild tangent, is that
Don't
Mr. C thinks, with good reason, that because he had Bob, that valuable thing that so many people seem to want.
And still want, according to what we're going to find out.
Right. I think that's why he didn't have to fear. That's why the woodsman would always come and save him. Now, either Bob got pulled out of him by the woodsman, or the woodsman saved Mr. C so Bob could still kind of exist. Jeffries, what's interesting is I know we're jumping ahead a bit in this arm wrestling scene, but we find out from Ray that the plan was to kill Mr. C, then put the Owl Cave ring on him. Mm-hmm. What we saw the Owl Cave ring do to Ray was almost transport his soul after he died into the Red Room.
Yeah.
So, call me crazy for saying you can assume this. Can we assume that Jeffries wanted to get Doppelkoop, Mr. C, the evil half of Coop, back into the Black Lodge, Red Room, and this was his plan of how he was going to do it?
Are you asking me to plot check you?
Listeners plot checking.
Yeah,
anybody plot checking. Is that the way you would interpret it?
Yeah, that's exactly how. And I sort of, it was nice to see, because we've heard hints of it, and in terms of what the rules are and how many people can be in or out of the lodge at the same time, and the different all of that stuff. So I really enjoyed that type of. See, I don't really consider that to be explanation. I agree. I don't feel that's like such bald exposition where it's kind of like, well, who cares? I felt like we were everything. It was symbolic. We get to see the ring, which looks a little different than it used to, but things change. One thing I was thinking about as this is going down is, Mr. C is not a pleasant man. He is not a fearful man, but
It says that on his references. Mr. C, I'm going to need 2 references for this job. This one I got from your previous employer. Not a pleasant man.
Not a pleasant man. But he does seem to be extremely rational.
That's a good way.
He walks into this thing. There's 20 guys, all different kinds of hairstyles, so it's a motley crew, all different kinds of guns, and okay, we're going to go have an arm wrestling match? Well, I don't want to be your leader, but this is what I do want. Okay, fine, let's go. They're walking towards it, and this big bald dude punches him.
Yeah, I think his name's Renzo, yeah.
Renzo socks him in the back of the head.
Whoa.
And we've seen what Mr. C has done to other people for even attempting that, like the bouncer at Beulah's and, all the, So, and Mr. C just sort of looks at him and is kind of like, okay, well, that's fine. We're going to go do what we're going to do. I know what I'm going to do to you already, so, it doesn't bother him at all. And that made me start thinking, just in terms of maybe Richard Horne, so right now we're kind of thinking probably that Richard is the son of Mr. C and Audrey.
Yes, that is my thought as well at this moment.
You're right. So, and after today, we're not exactly sure if Audrey is actually in this dimension, but putting that aside for now. But so after seeing how rational Mr. C is, and then after seeing Audrey last week, I was sort of thinking, yeah, Richard sort of takes more after his mother than his father. But no, I enjoyed the scene. It was, a little over the top, a little bit of a,
Over the top, literally.
Yeah. Well, I was okay with it. I was totally okay with it. And
were you in love with the fact that Richard Horne suddenly appeared? The streams were crossing.
Speaking of Richard Horne,
it seems like as quickly as the streams crossed, they've separated, because the scene to me implies that Mr. C leaves and Richard probably stays, is what I'm going to assume. But I did love the moment that Richard Horne shows up. That was a strong, hey, we're in the same universe,
right,
we're in the same world.
I absolutely did, and it, so it does. You got to ask yourself, well, why did Richard Horne just appear at this secret warehouse with a secret code you got to enter into today, right now? Did Ray tell him to show up? Is he in with Ray? Did Mr. C tell him to? Or Red, exactly. Right. Well, is this the same warehouse as before?
No. The way we have to interpret it, and of course, me saying
we have Western Montana,
right?
So Red that was in. So how and why does he show up at this exact same time? Does he know? I mean, what is the relationship between Richard and Mr. C? In terms of, we believe what we know it is biologically, but what is it in terms of their? Do they know each other? Are they friends?
Do you think, and call me crazy, is there any way Audrey, if she was in a coma when this terrible rape we're implying happened, would Audrey know that Cooper?
It just gets worse.
Would Audrey know that Cooper was the father and could have shown Richard a picture like, this was your daddy? I don't know. Or would she have shown him a picture?
Maybe she never woke up from the coma.
That's true. Maybe she showed him a picture of Billy Zane, a.k.a. John Jack Justice Wheeler. All we can do is speculate.
That's why Richard hates fly fishermen so much. No, all we can do, and that's one of those things where that's a loose thread. I don't, I'm not particularly worried if it ever gets completely explained. I enjoyed seeing it. We both kind of responded to it. And
did you like the Tarantino-esque vibe too? Hey, we're in this empty warehouse.
Right.
There's this quirky guy. Everybody's dressed kind of, tough and rumble, blue, hard worker, and the one guy who looks like an accountant. Hey, need any money?
Yeah, it was polite.
I liked him there. But nice. Are you okay with speculating? Where's the Dutchman's? Is that, just so everybody plot check me, Philip Jeffries, according to Ray, was at a place he kind of thought was nicknamed the Dutchman. Mm-hmm. Any speculation of what you think that could be?
Well, he says the Dutchman's, but it's not a real place, or I can't remember what the exact line was. But
right.
So he's implying that it's it's not a restaurant or a bar. It's it's some kind of other.
And I don't know Dutch names well enough to know. My mind, of course, once again, it's trying to make these connections that maybe don't exist. My mind suddenly thinking, is Briggs a Dutch last name? Are there any names in Twin Peaks that are especially Dutch? I apologize for not really knowing. Anderson, isn't that a big Dutch name, or is that maybe a Danish name? Hans Christian Andersen is probably Danish. I don't know. I'm just reaching at straws.
We can ask, when it comes to Denmark, we can ask our buddy Macon. But,
right, yeah. Listeners, if you have any idea of what the Dutchman's is, this is an Instant Take podcast, let us know. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Double-P Podcast. We want to know. Should we take anything from the fact that it looks like, based on the jacket, that it's Mike, the one-armed man, who picks up the ring and puts it back kind of on its resting place at the table?
Right. That had to be Mike for me. But I just want to dwell a little bit, if we can. I mean, this exchange, we have some gigantic things colliding here. At least to me.
Okay.
We have someone who's been working with Philip Jeffries,
who he thinks is Philip Jeffries. Let's be honest, but sure.
Well, whether or not it's Philip Jeffries himself or someone pretending to be Philip Jeffries, either one is good enough for me.
Okay.
Either one is a good adversary.
Cool.
Number one. The Owl Cave ring showing up. That's great to see. Mr. C asking about Major Briggs, which, essentially is he aware of what Bobby helped them find? Could he be aware of that?
Oh, good call.
The other day. So there's a lot of really, really cool stuff going on here, and I don't know, but I mean, I do want to. We need Double L's, help us out here. What does this mean? Where is this going? I was a little surprised that I thought it was cool that we get to see. Okay, you put on the ring, you die, then you end up in the lodge. That's a cool, like, sort of simple.
Is that why Laura's spirit ended up in the lodge?
I mean,
Laura put on the ring right before she was killed in Fire Walk with Me.
Right.
Does this mean poor Teresa Banks is somewhere down? Her spirit's somewhere there, roaming throughout the lodge.
Well,
I never saw Leland wear it, but we see Leland's spirit
Annie
trapped
had it.
there. Oh no! We don't know. We don't know the answer to how's Annie.
Right. We don't even know if she exists. Coop, though.
Well. Sorry. What do you mean exists? You mean we don't know if she's alive or dead? Sheriff Truman and Hawk, Frank Truman, mentioned Annie, so she must have existed at one point.
Well, right. I guess I've got the book on the brain. The book, The Secret History that
didn't mention
that
Annie.
mentions
Right.
Norma not having a sister. So yeah. So I definitely enjoyed this entire sequence. Mr. C, he seems to be looking at Richard on his way out, and before, when he came in, he was sort of looking at the camera, talking to Ray. Maybe he's got the ability to see, through the other end of a camera. I don't know, but I'm pumped.
Okay, well, that's good. Hey, that's good, especially after you were so tough last week. That's good.
Yeah.
Listeners, let us know what you think. That's it in Western Montana, so let's get to Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Yeah, watching Mr. C be so calm and cool leading up to and even during the arm wrestling, and that making me think a little bit of like, well, he's Richard is far more like his mother. Excuse me, is far more like his mother than his father. Watching, I mean, I loved watching the Mitchum brothers.
Love the three pink ladies. Love them. Love happiness. So many of these people I mentioned, Melancholy or in Violent Worlds. The overacting from Anthony Sinclair when he gets googly-eyed. Whoa, he's here.
Right.
The Mitchum brothers didn't kill him.
And he actually hides behind his desk.
I know you're giggling about it now, but to me that was a bit too much. And I love Tom Sizemore, but
yeah.
I actually had some trouble with his acting, if that's okay to say, in this entire episode.
Sure, yeah.
But it's tough for me to point out what I felt was overacting and a bit kind of comical acting. When these Mitchum brothers and these pink ladies, they a bit overact all the time, and I love it.
Right.
I love it. I've accepted this part of the world.
Yeah, no, these guys, I think, they've definitely earned their keep. And so it's fun to see. And so we're watching. So the lovely Amy Shields is presenting all of these new improved prizes.
Yes, and let me just say this: Amy Shields, she is lovely. She was lovely when we saw her and got her to autograph those books we gave away, the Twin Peaks
She
books.
did not give us Monte Cristos, though.
Oh no, but she, oh my Lord.
Yeah, she's great. And you're sort of watching this, and then you hear them tell, oh, yeah, we're giving you the same car that we gave Dougie Coop.
Hardtop convertible Beamer.
Pretty classy. So,
nice work.
Okay, so imagine you...
That could be yours for just a $30 million check.
That's not a bad deal, actually. So imagine you've been in purgatory for 25 years, Bubba.
I have been, sure. Okay.
Fair enough.
No, I don't have to.
We haven't been doing this podcast that long.
Just felt like it.
So you've been in purgatory for 25 years,
right?
And then you wake up and you find yourself living in Las Vegas.
Yep.
Married to Naomi Watts.
Okay.
All right. The lovely Janey-E Jones. You have a decent job that comes with free coffee. A boss that appreciates and respects you.
Right.
You have very lovely home. You have a brand new convertible.
Love it.
You have a kid who adores you and loves spending time with you and isn't like a real jerk kid.
You're not talking about Sunny Jungle Gym, are you?
I absolutely am talking about Sunny Jungle Gym. So you have two choices.
All right.
You can wake up and then pretend
Pretend.
You wake up and then go, back to solving some horrible crimes that have amazing, metaphysical, soul-crushing possibilities.
Right.
Or you just play dumb and hang out in Vegas with Janey-E Jones and tooling around in your little convertible. Would you not be tempted just hanging out?
To quit the FBI and take this life? Yeah, I'm quitting the FBI right now. Call Quantico. Later, losers.
Later, losers. So no, I enjoyed seeing Todd not happy with.
You mean Duncan Todd? This guy who theoretically is working with Mr. C. Sorry,
Right.
I shouldn't even say theoretically. Let's take that on fact. He's working with Mr. C to kill Dougie Coop.
Right. So okay, and this brings up a question. This is why I wanted to watch this.
I'll bring up your question, then I got a question for you.
Okay, so real quick, how was Mr. C planning? So Mr. C was planning on just killing Dougie Coop. Okay, fine, but is there not also he's got to shove find an electric socket and shove the body through to get it back to the lodge? If only.
I don't know if he has to do that because he didn't say any of that to Chantel and Hutch.
So did he need the ring for Dougie Coop?
I think that's a great question, but based on the evidence we have so far, I think the answer is no.
All right.
I would say that Mr. C just wants him dead because there is no mention of the ring.
Right.
There's no mention of anything. Now, of course, that's me assuming that that's who Hutch and Chantal on their trip through Utah with possibly some questionable knowledge of the LDS community.
Yeah.
And the fundamental LDS community.
Well, they got into Utah. They're just learning. So give them time.
Under the Banner of Heaven. What a great book.
Oh, man.
About fundamental. Is it LDS? Yeah. FLDS. Ooh, tough life. I don't hate Duncan Todd. He is obviously meant to be a villain. Of the new return villains, Richard Horne, you're there. Chad, to be honest, I'm softer on Chad than some people are, but Chad's a jerk. Okay, I just like him.
Chad's a jerk.
You really feel anger or hatred, or you're happy that Duncan Todd is not happy? I almost feel nothing towards Duncan Todd. Sorry.
Oh, I think I enjoy him. I enjoy watching him, and I enjoy and also you know that he is terrified of Mr. C.
Oh yeah,
and
good.
He's twisting the screws to Sinclair, who kind of deserves to, he just tried to set up our guy for murder. So,
right.
I'm okay with him feeling a little pain. But yeah, I mean, Duncan Todd is he's going to have a sleepless couple of nights for sure.
Yeah, I also think there are only how many parts left? There are 5 more hours of this. There's no way Duncan Todd's getting out of this alive.
Yeah.
I'm calling my shot. Boy, real safe shot there, but I'm calling it. Mork, before we jump to this beautiful Sunny Jungle Gym, do you want to mention this scene where Janey Jones receives it?
So we many weeks ago when we were talking about some of our fun encounters with some of the cast.
Yeah, this is preseason podcast we did before the return started.
So I shared a slightly less meandering than normal story about spending some time with the amazing actor Alon Abud-Bol, who can be seen right now on Snowfall on FX, about how crack began. That I hear it's great, but we've been busy watching TV.
This is a friend of yours who's in Twin Peaks: The Return, and he couldn't tell you when he would appear. He couldn't tell you anything about his appearance. We're watching the episode, and you suddenly just kind of out of the blue goes, "Oh wait, that's my friend."
Yeah, well, he told me he worked one day and it was something like very small, had nothing to do with the major story. That's what he told me. But he was sworn to secrecy. He couldn't say anything else. And they requested him. This wasn't like he just happened to be in town. They the casting director David Lynch told the casting director to get this guy, and they got him to deliver a jungle gym. And I'm thrilled
He's
for him.
the delivery man who delivers the jungle gym and the car to Janey-E Jones. This is your friend.
And so maybe, think about this, maybe my friend is responsible for Dougie Coop just pretending to be dumb forever and not joining the fray. So
boy.
Who
I think on my countdown, this was either going to be the last episode of Dougie Coop or next week. I forget. Well, I said I imagine 5 more episodes, but now that I say it, I don't see him becoming Coop in next week's episode either.
Well, the reason why I think he might, and let's just comment, whoever designed this jungle gym, kudos, because you got
you say kudos. It gave me some scares.
Really?
That circular spotlight, what is that attached to throughout Twin Peaks? It's attached to Red Room.
Talk about a buzzkill.
That's what I thought. I saw the jungle gym and I saw the spotlight and I was like, "Uh-oh, Sonny Jim.
That's such a good point.
This is trouble."
That is a great
You're right.
Great point.
If the spotlight hadn't been there, I would have been like, "This is great. Sonny Jim needs some friends, but this is a great playset." But because that spotlight, for me, the original series, even in the return, that spotlight is something that comes up a lot.
That is such a good call.
In our Friends of the Black Lodge, Red Room, evil area.
Such a good and scary call. But you also
love this jungle gym, so I sorry I'm ruining it for you.
No, it's quite all right. I mean, it was a prize. The taxes on it are going to kill him. But this is a little victory. So you thought, let me ask you this. Did you think that, and it is a little odd, the Coop sort of repeats Seventh Heaven. There's all this, because he says so little, there's you want to decipher everything that he says. So you felt like we kind of knew there was going to be a plan. Todd tells him, hey, you got a day to take care of this stuff. So were you thinking because of this spotlight that something bad was going to happen to Sonny Jim or Janey-E in this part?
I just thought, no, I didn't think it would actually happen in this part. I just thought it portended bad trouble.
All right.
That was my thought. Sorry, I'm ruining this awesome playset for you, this playground that was built in their backyard, but when I first saw it, I'm like, great, but then I see that spotlight going, and I'm like, oh snap!
That is a great call. So Todd has given Sinclair some orders, and he heads over to the police station,
to the crooked cops he's been doing this insurance scam with.
Well, he's been doing the insurance scam, but before that, in terms of, so you were saying just a second ago about how long you just said. Actually, something I want to, sort of underscore.
Oh, sorry. Okay, hit it.
So you don't think Coop's ever going to wake up?
No, sorry. I made a prediction that it would go 5 more episodes. I forget when that 5-episode limit was going to end, but I think it was going to end next week, if I've done the counting right. But there ain't no way he's becoming regular Coop next week. That's just my own belief.
The only reason I think it's a possibility is because of what's going on with our kind of jokey cops who are taking their coffee break. They do come in and they say, "Hey, this guy," and we've got confirmation. They ran the fingerprints. It came back as he's an FBI agent. He was in prison 2 days ago. This is so crazy. They throw it away. They don't pay any more attention to it. But
is there a fear that
on the other end?
Well, we hope. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think if Briggs is showing up, if Briggs's prints are showing up on the radar, it's got to be the exact same thing with Coop's.
We would hope so. Just to play devil's advocate, that Briggs thing was something flagged by the military. You would assume the FBI has a similar flag on Coop's prints, but...
Well, especially after he escaped prison, I think absolutely they would be on the lookout. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's hope so, because that's what I actually want to have happen.
Yeah, I do.
Sorry, it's just the show subverts it so many times.
I do too.
I'm afraid to let myself hope again.
Oh, come on, be vulnerable, Bubba.
So Anthony Sinclair, he comes to the cops. He needs a poison.
Mm-hmm.
Poison, I tell you, that's untraceable. He's going to kill Dougie Coop.
Yeah.
And forgive me for being so brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Sizemore, they put him, this is an acting tricky thing.
Right.
Where you have to show non-verbally, through your emotions, through your eyes, you have to show that, okay, I can't kill this guy. It's weighing on me too much.
Yeah.
I'm going to confess. And I think that's very tough. In my own opinion, he couldn't pull it off. It felt an awkward kind of almost like an old SCTV skit that I want everybody to check out. This old skit that they used to do on Second City TV with John Candy, Eugene Levy and all. They're doing they're parodying a Lassie type show, but the dog hasn't been trained. And so they'll be like, Lassie, I'm trapped. Well, Lassie, go get help. You're not. oh, you're right. You can't go get help because there's the parade and all the firemen wouldn't be at the fire station. That's really smart, Lassie. And so they just do these hilarious bits of them reacting to this dog who doesn't, who can't act, who just does whatever the dog would do. They'd suddenly be like, oh, that's so smart.
That's really funny.
And so this feels a bit like what Tom Sizemore has to do. He's suddenly like, yeah. Give me a massage. I can't kill you. I just didn't feel it. This turn didn't feel natural to me.
Yeah, I didn't really feel it, but I will say in his defense, he's acting with someone who is
giving him nothing.
But
that's why I'm saying it's so tough. That's why it's so tough.
Right.
So I don't want to beat him up too much.
He's having to sort of connect, everything. Now we're seeing what's going on, and I was actually confused because I don't know why Koopa's giving him a massage. Number one, number two, I don't know 100%. Is that poison or is that dandruff? Because they do look so much alike.
We may have to put out a Twitter poll.
Yeah, I don't know, but it does. It definitely, and I think one of the things that rubbed me the wrong way about Sinclair was he never meant to harm him. It wasn't like he was back. It wasn't like Sinclair had been backed into a corner by Todd and had to kill him just now because of some gambling debt. A couple of days ago, he was trying to set this guy up to be, shot to death by the Mitchum brothers. He did mean to do him harm. So that didn't really track well for me.
Right. When did the change of heart happen? I'm not sure we ever really saw it convincingly, in my opinion. If listeners, hopefully you did see that for you. Or maybe you're willing to go with it because it does lead to some silly scenes, like when he pours the coffee in the urinal and the guy next to him goes, "Oh, that bad, huh?"
Yeah,
that's a pretty good little bit. I like that.
That was a good little bit. I mean, in terms of now, I thought for a minute when he took the cup that he was actually going to drink it, because he knows about what's going to happen to him from Duncan Todd, and he talks about it later.
Right, with Battle and Bud, he tells him, "Oh my God, I'll confess, even if it kills me."
Right. So he breaks down. One interesting thing that we learned in this exchange from the boss man is that Dougie Coop had also implicated Dougie Jones.
Right. Yeah. Good call. Scam. Good call.
And so that was kind of interesting because Dougie Jones had. I'm not going to fault him for having an ongoing friendship with Jade, but he did owe a lot of money to the loan sharks.
He did,
and he was apparently doing some insurance, some insurance fraud. So, this scene was, this was an invitation.
All right, give me a verb. Okay,
this was reminiscent of Invitation to Love.
Sure, fair enough. I guess I like the story beats. I just didn't think they were executed as well as they could be. To my pleasure.
Right.
I still gave this episode an 8 out of 10 because I do like the streams getting crossed. I do like the little moments that provide warmth and happiness or even melancholy for characters I love. And because when things like the streams cross, a.k.a. Richard Horne showing up in the same thug hangout where Mr. C is, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
So very positive. I think in these 5 remaining hours, it may be tough to retroactively make some of these scenes better, like some people are hoping. Like maybe we're hoping Audrey's scenes, if we find out more about her, it'll retroactively make that first Audrey scene better. But I've always said I think I can enjoy the return more kind of in hindsight once I see the big picture and see how the connections. Love the connections, even if I didn't always love the scenes presenting these connections. So still very excited for these final 5 hours.
No, 100%. 100%. I do have one last question for you, Bubba.
Sure.
Will we end up back in New York? In the glass box?
My mind says no, but I don't want my mouth to say no because you can't predict this show.
Right.
Some people love that you can't predict anything.
Right.
And the roadmap takes you a million different ways. Sometimes I love that. Sometimes that isn't enough for me to be engaged with it. It feels like some people I see online are like, even if I'm not engaged with the scene, just the fact that it is shocking and isn't what I expected, I can enjoy it. And I respect that opinion. For me, dare I say it, let's go to Game of Thrones Season 1. A character dies at the end of Season 1 of Game of Thrones who maybe as the audience you wouldn't think that would happen. But that's a twist you wouldn't as an audience even want to happen. but it was kind of logical, and it opens up many new avenues, and you're like, ooh, that's exciting. That's unpredictability that I can enjoy.
Right.
Some things, I'm always so tough on the infamous 2 minutes plus of sweeping. That kind of unpredictability where it's, ooh, you never thought you'd see 2 minutes of somebody sweeping, or the infamous French woman leaving the room. That type of unpredictability where kind of like that's the only element of it, it's just not enough for me. And so that's why I always feel, I hope I'm not always coming across as the bad cop to Twin Peaks fans who are like, wait, this is great. Wow, you never saw that coming.
Well, I think one of the things that I think the show is making the job a little bit harder in terms of the job of, and look, Frost and Lynch, they can do whatever they want. But the job, as I see it, of giving me something that I find satisfying and enjoyable. Mm-hmm. And that's harder when there's not a lot of, because we don't know where anything is going at any time, it's really hard to build up anticipation in this.
Right.
We don't have a sense. You're talking about Game of Thrones, where it was surprising and it was a twist that they did it, because on most other shows, that would have never have happened. What happened. And I can't believe that we're still not going to spoil that.
Yeah,
but God bless us for not, because there is a show called Game of Thrones that if you haven't watched it, Double L's, check it out. But I think they're robbing themselves of a really helpful tool in terms of, well, we know this is going to happen, or, this happened. Gosh, I wonder how Mr. C is going to react to that, or I wonder how. We don't have any of that. And
not much. That's true.
We have very, very little of that, and that makes, at what moment could we ever say, oh, geez, Big Ed finished the soup. That's really going to make the woodsman really upset. We don't know. So that
is a great way to say it. I love that.
So that's making it a little tougher on them, and in some ways it forces them to go from 0 to 60 in a scene. Whether it's the girl in the booth with the rash, or
right,
there's all that stuff. That being said, we are 13 parts into this thing, and I was glad to hear you say that the last 2 are going to be together, because that means we only have to wait 4 weeks to get to the end.
Or it's sad because there's only 4 weeks left.
Look,
here's the whiplash. The whiplash keeps coming.
Yeah, between the Searchlight and killing Sonny Jim, and now this, Bubba, you're just bringing me down, man.
Well, here's some double R soup. Loyal listeners, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Double P Podcast. Respond to any of our thoughts. Hopefully, you've got better thoughts. This is an instant take. Let us know. Give us your thoughts. Once again, iTunes reviews and like the Facebook page if you'd like to be entered into that season-ending giveaway. For everyone here on Twin Peaks, The Gifted,
and The Damned,
my name's Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at FitandTrim. That's FITTENTRIM. At FitandTrim on Twitter.
And for everybody else, this is Mork at Extraordinary. That's extraordinary with the W in front of the final R. And is that Parmesan cheese in that soup? What is he doing
I don't
to
know.
that?
I'm going to burn the cover of my matches. Take that, soup.
Yeah. Take that soup. 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 Take that soup.